What's up, everybody? Welcome to the fourth video in my Sinister Motives Heroic series, trying to beat every scenario in the Sinister Motives box on Heroic difficulty using a different hero. And Heroic difficulty is where we deal one extra encounter card every villain phase. And so we'll start by talking about the scenario here. I like to do this to help justify some of my deck choices, as well as to give anyone who might not be as familiar with the scenario some context before we jump into the game. But as always, you can skip straight to the deck or the gameplay if you wish. And so today we'll be having a Ghost Spider protection deck go up against the Sinister Six scenario. This is a multi-villain scenario where we'll be randomly putting different members of the Sinister Six into play over the course of the game. They all have a pretty similar text box. They have a forced response where if they attack and damage us, we discard. Sorry, I was just looking at Electro. We do some effect. So in the case of Electro, discard 7 cards from deck. Hobgoblin 2 indirect damage. Craven discard upgrade or support. So all 6 different abilities there. And then when defeated, we are able to remove a threat from a side scheme. 4 if there's another villain in play, 7 if that was the only villain in play. So at the start of the game, we'll get 2 out randomly. There's an active counter that we'll put on the lowest activation order villain, and another thing that happens whenever they attack and damage us is we move that active counter to the next villain in the order. Now, the scenario starts with this light at the end side scheme setup. And so this is actually how we win this scenario. Rather than killing our enemies, killing the villains, it's actually by thwarting this light at the end side scheme. And it'll start with a massive 20 threat, but I mean, there's no negative effect while it's in play. We just need to whittle that down. And then eventually when we clear the first side, we'll flip to the back side, where this will come in with 15 threat. And when the last threat is removed from it, the players escape and win the game. So we can kill as many villains as we want, none of it matters unless we get through light at the end. And while we're on this side, we have the hazard icon in play for an additional encounter card every villain phase. So once we get to here, we really want to be well set up and go quickly from that point. And now, of course, when our villains are defeated, we are able to remove threat from a side scheme, which can include light at the end. So that will help us. Even if our deck is more geared towards defeating these villains, it will still work us through the threat on light at the end. Now, as for the encounter deck, we've got 3 copies of this Partnership of Pain, which gives the villain an extra activation, depending on the form that we're in. Surprise, in Expert mode, we'll still have Surge, and so we're playing Heroic, which, it's technically not Expert, but will still trigger everything that it says to do while in Expert mode. So this will resolve the ambush ability on the main scheme. There's a few ways that this ambush ability will happen throughout the game. For example, if there's no villain in play, we will resolve the ambush before the villain would activate. And it basically just says to put a set-aside villain into play, choosing from the set-aside villains at random. And then Expert mode will also put 2 additional threat on light at the end. So Surprise just gives us another villain. A bunch of attachments. These are generally the best things for us to draw because as long as we just are able to keep killing our enemies as they come out, these attachments are going to be irrelevant. Although they do restrict exactly what actions we can take a little bit. There's 3 copies of these, I'll call them Double Trouble treacheries, where they put 2 of the set-aside villains into play. But if either of them is already in play, there's some specific effect that occurs. The really scary one is High Fashion. This causes us to discard if Electro is in play, we discard the highest cost card we have. If Craven is in play, we discard the lowest cost card we have. So Electro is always going to be one of my primary targets if there's multiple villains out and High Fashion is still in the encounter deck. I want to kill Electro to not lose a 3 or 4 cost card and have a massive tempo loss there. Life-size Decoy is the only minion in our scenario. In Expert mode, it will have Toughness. The engaged player cannot thwart side schemes. Note that the enemy when defeated ability is not a thwart. It would need to have the word thwart on it somewhere for that to be the case. so we can still remove threat by defeating enemies. Oh, and actually this is from the Guerrilla Tactics modular set, which we'll be using. And it's not a, okay, it is a required modular set. So I guess it's required for the scenario anyways. So it makes things a little annoying, but not like it's got 0 scheme, 0 attack, so not an immediate threat whenever it gets drawn. One big side scheme here, threat cannot be removed from other side schemes, comes in with 9, so again, just kind of slows us down from light at the end. Although we do want to clear it because there's some other side schemes that really need to get cleared if they come out. So there's these 3 Guerrilla Tactics side schemes that basically give every enemy some negative ability. So Hidden in Shadow is the worst one, gives each enemy 1 hazard icon. Coordinated Effort, 1 acceleration icon each. And then kind of similar punishment of keeping multiple villains in play from every direction is a Treachery with Surge that places 1 threat on the main scheme for each enemy in play. So all these combined with the Partnership of Pain make us really want to keep a low villain count at all points in the game. So that will be our strategy going forward. And we're just rocking with standard 1 here today. So yeah, should be a good scenario. It's a unique scenario, and I'll talk about how I built around it in the Ghost Spider deck next. So here's the Ghost Spider Protection deck we'll be playing with today. And I'll jump straight to the elephant in the room. You might have noticed right in the center of the picture here, I am playing an upcoming card here, Change of Fortune. This is going to be released in the Nightcrawler hero pack. And, you know, just to keep my schedule of going through the Sinister Motive scenarios, didn't want to really wait for that to come out, so I am proxying it here today. But this was one of the cards revealed in the Nightcrawler preview article on fantasyflightgames.com. So we do know the text of the card, and as it turns out, this is the perfect card both for Ghost Spider and for this scenario. So we'll be making good use of it today. It's a 1-cost upgrade that says after you defeat an enemy in the villain phase, exhaust it to draw 2 cards. So Ghost Spider has a bunch of ways to do this, as well as in the Sinister Six scenario, we have all of our villains that have relatively low health, and we'll be beating several of them throughout the game. So almost every turn there will be an opportunity to defeat an enemy in the villain phase and trigger Change of Fortune. So really excited to use this card today. So Ghost Spider as a hero has this unique hero ability. After we resolve an interrupt or responsibility on an event, we ready her. So this makes a lot of sense with her identity-specific cards, 3 thwarts and 3 attacks that are formatted as hero responses after she uses a basic power. So that enables us to do that in the villain phase potentially, which is why Change of Fortune has some value. With Ghost Kick, we can defend, then kill an enemy with a 6 damage attack, and that hopefully will defeat it and draw some cards. Web Binding cancels some activations. Kind of expensive to do that. We'd rather just ally block or defend ourselves. Pirouette and Punch, just a good sort of catch-all to catch Shadow of the Past or some of the difficult treacheries in this scenario. Web Bracelet, George Stacy, these are her most important setup cards. Ticket to the Multiverse will give us a one-time kind of hand refresh, ready some cards, a little bit of value. Most of the game it might just be a double resource card though. So the actual protection archetype that we're in now is the first time on my channel, potentially the only time, where we're going to be a really defense-heavy protection deck. It's usually hard to pull that off in solo because, right, you can only defend generally once per turn. Protection has a tough time with killing minions and thwarting side schemes, and defense cards don't really do any of that. They just sort of keep you alive. But then the encounter cards can easily catch up on you and overwhelm you. But in this scenario, the Sinister Six, there's not that much thwarting to do. We can thwart by just killing our enemies because they remove threat from side schemes when defeated. And this is Ghost Spider's entire gimmick here. So even after defending, she can re-ready herself in the villain phase. We draw cards for playing interrupts and responses, which all these defenses are generally interrupts because they interrupt the enemy attack. And so we've got a fun opportunity to play a new archetype here on the channel today. And so in line with the Change of Fortune card, one of the key cards in our deck this time is Powerful Punch. Interrupts an enemy attack by dealing 4 damage to that enemy. So if our villain is down to 4 or fewer health remaining, Powerful Punch will not only kill the enemy, but stop that attack from continuing and thus save us from that activation. So a really crucial card. Preemptive Strike and Defiance, these are both in a very important category for this scenario. All of the villains have some negative effect when they damage Ghost Spider. So we need to make sure that when Ghost Spider actually defends, that she is blocking the entire attack. And so Defiance can guarantee that by discarding the boost card, and none of the villains have more than 3 attacks, so that'll always be a clean defend. Preemptive Strike is 1 resource more expensive, but we get to see what the boost card is first, and then assess whether we need to cancel it or not, so that can be an advantage and a disadvantage that it's more expensive. It also is another way to potentially kill a villain during the enemy phase by dealing damage to the villain equal to the number of boost icons on that boost card. Counterpunch, yet another way to chip in a little bit more damage to kill an enemy during the villain phase. It's also just one of the sort of classic Ghost Spider cards, 0 cost response that helps us re-ready and trigger our web bracelets in the villain phase. Unflappable just sort of goes along with this strategy as well. Powerful Punch counts as a defense, so even if the attack is kind of canceled by killing the enemy, it still counts as defending and taking no damage. And this is confirmed. You can confirm this in the rules reference, but I double checked before this. So another good just resource generator to get out on an early turn if we're able. Now we still want to play a bunch of allies just because allies are such strong cards. Ally blocking is always a fallback, if we've already defended or we don't have a great defense lined up. And the Web Warriors are just some strong cards, and let us play Web of Life and Destiny, which is a strong 0 cost support for some more card draw. Spider UK, really interesting one in this scenario. Can interrupt an attack when he defends and deal damage to the attacking enemy equal to the number of Web Warriors you control. So in many cases, this can actually kill our villain and completely stop the incoming attack. Now, one thing to note is that this won't actually trigger Change of Fortune, because this says after you defeat an enemy in the villain phase. And allies do not count as you by the definitions of the game. But that's still, basically a 0 resource, exhaust without taking any consequential damage, interrupt kills the enemy. It's basically a free cancellation of an enemy attack. So really, really strong when we can pull that off. Spider-Man Noir, card that I love in my heroic games with Web Warriors, because we see, twice as many encounter cards every turn. So he can really load up his stats quickly. And especially in this scenario, there's quite a decent amount of surge. So we can sometimes even get all the way up to 3/3 stats in a single villain phase. Professor X and Jocasta are the only non-Web Warrior allies I'm playing. Jocasta is nice to get one of our defenses just tucked away for the perfect moment. Defense hands can be a little awkward sometimes, so this just helps smooth things out. Professor X, only way that the protection aspect can confuse a villain, so it's just a really strong card in general that I play in almost every heroic game. Silk, Otto, Peter, a few more Web Warriors. Otto, when he readies a web bracelet, these are tech upgrades, so we'll draw a card when we play Otto. Silk, Peter Parker, just strong cards. So there we have it. The game plan will be to basically spend the entire game in hero form, because that's where all of our cards get played. We do lose out on the extra hand size from Alter Ego, but hopefully make up for that with being able to trigger our web bracelets and Change of Fortune as many turns as possible. We have very little thwarting in the deck. Basically, Phantom Flip is the only event we have to thwart, and our allies can thwart a little bit. But really, like I mentioned, this Sinister Six scenario, we don't actually have to thwart that much. It's just the main scheme to keep an eye on, and then side schemes that come out can be answered by actually just killing our enemies. So that's the game plan. We'll see how it goes in this matchup of Ghost Spider versus the Sinister Six. So to kick us off, we'll roll 2d6s here to determine our starting villains, and we'll pick the ones with the activation order equal to the values here. So we got 4 and 5, which will be Kraven and Scorpion. And we put the active counter on the one with the lower activation order, which is Kraven. And go to main scheme. 1B. I'll finish shuffling here now that we can think about these villains. So Kraven is probably the worst on-hit trigger among the 6 villains. Makes us discard a support or upgrade we control. So we'll either make sure we have a defense lined up for him or just take him off the board. Scorpion is not too bad. In the sense that he's got 0 scheme, so if we can kind of abuse that and take advantage of an alter ego turn where he's confusing for 0, that would be to our advantage. Otherwise, if we just stun an ally from Scorpion's hit trigger, that's not really that bad. The ally can just thwart or block instead. In our opening hand, we're going to look for our web bracelets, that change of fortune. An ally would be totally fine. As long as we've got some stuff to do, we'll be happy. Always a risk with these sort of defense-heavy decks is having something proactive to do on turn 1, but I think we can mulligan for a good turn. I'll look at just my alignment of everything. I could probably move everything a bit here this way. Okay, so we get unflappable, but nothing else. So, I mean, Phantom Flip, at least is a playable card, but we're in no rush to thwart light at the end. Okay, a couple choices here. It's probably going to be one of these allies plus unflappable, or one ally for 3 plus Ghost Kick is also an option. That would let us take Kraven off the board right away, assuming we played Spider UK. Yeah, that's interesting. I think I actually just like doing the Ghost Kick here. In my practice games with this scenario, we can end up easily with tons of villains out here, which is bad for several different encounter cards. So I think just playing Ghost Kick every time we get it in hand is a priority. And we're still playing an ally, so we're kind of developing somewhat. Okay, so we'll attack Kraven for 2, Ghost Kick Kraven for 6. So 8 total damage. And now is it too cute to just use Spider UK's Interrupt defending Kraven's attack? I don't think so. Gives us a defense of an attack. We did play a response, so we'll get to Ready Ghost Spider. And I think with that, let's just put some damage into Scorpion. So do I still use Spider UK here? Yeah, I guess I do. Planning to defend next turn, but still should use up the activations so that I can block as soon as I need to. We'll attack Scorpion for 2 more damage. Or you know what? Because thwarting and attacking are pretty even for Spider UK. Because obviously attack is 2, thwarting is 1, but attack we do 2 consequential damage versus 1. So his 4 HP can go towards 4 attack or 4 thwart. Let's do a thwart. I think we're generally weak with thwarting for this deck, so we'll get a little head start there. I guess I'm kind of contradicting myself what I just why I attacked with Ghost Spider, but I guess in Ghost Spider's case she gets much more out of her attack than her thwart, so it's worth it. Okay, real nice turn lined up here. Get to develop Web Bracelet and George Stacy. So as usual, this first turn of encounter cards always really crucial to see how the game's going to go. So 1 on the main scheme. Craven attacks. Spider UK defends. As an interrupt, we'll deal 2 damage to Craven, which will stop that attack in his tracks. And now 2 encounter cards. Okay, life-size decoy. That is definitely a good one to see, relatively speaking. And attached to the villain with the lowest, well, I guess there's only 1. Okay, a really nice villain phase there. No immediate threats to answer, so that'll give us time to play Web Bracelet and George. Not really an argument for anything else here. We do have that Ghost Kick, which I kind of mentioned is nice to play whenever we can, but when there's only one villain out to begin with, and these 2 other cards are just so critical for us. So 2 for the bracelet, 1 for George. So here's where I was saying here we could go to Alter Ego here, get a draw in. We don't have too much set up yet to take advantage of in the villain phase when we're in hero form. When Change of Fortune and Unflappable are out, that might change, or if we can kill our enemy with a powerful punch. I think I'm gonna do that. I'll deal 2 to Scorpion. And then we'll flip here to get the extra card. Yeah, we don't have a good block lined up. Scorpion has 0 scheme. Okay. Yeah, still, I mean, it's a little awkward, but I think I like it here. So we'll go 1 on the main scheme. Scorpion schemes for 0 plus 2, and then 2 encounter cards. Okay, getting lucky with the attachments here. So this is the plus X where X is equal to the number of villains in play, not just enemies. And a scheme, so as long as this doesn't have 3 boost icons, we're all right. It has 1, so Scorpion schemes for 1. Great to see an advance out of the deck, especially with doing such a little damage there. And that brings us to our turn. So now that we've got George out, our turns should be pretty much perfectly efficient. And this is going to be great here because I'm going to get Change of Fortune out and then put Powerful Punch under George. That's going to let us kill Scorpion in the villain phase. So I also will pay 2 for the Web Bracelet. Now we've got both of those out. Basically, I'm going to put 2 of these under George. So what do I want to do besides Powerful Punch? Use Gwen Stacy, alter ego action to ready George Stacy. And probably the Phantom Flip here. We're getting kind of close with the main scheme. Really want to be able to thwart that down. So we'll pay this as our 1 for the Change of Fortune. And then put Phantom Flip under George Stacy. Flip to hero form. So attack Scorpion for 2. So now that with 4 health left, that Powerful Punch will take him out. And what to do with Spider UK. Can't thwart this yet because of the Crisis icon. Attacking feels kind of bad. But at the same time, still just want to work ourselves towards a block. Don't want to let these turns go to waste. We will want to kill this eventually, so attack the Tough off. And go to our turn, or go to the villain phase. Okay. A lot of action here. So I guess I'll play the Powerful Punch that's on George just because it kind of acts as an extra resource when we do it like that. And I'm probably not going to be counter-punching here. All right, so main scheme goes to 7. I'm just thinking of that From Every Direction card. It is a little risky. Yeah, no, that doesn't change anything. Okay, so Scorpion attacks. We'll pay 2 to play Powerful Punch to deal 4 to Scorpion and squash that attack. Oops. So when Scorpion is defeated, we remove 4 threat from a side scheme. And then we did a interrupt and we defeated an enemy, so we'll draw 3 more cards. And just hope to avoid a From Every Direction would be the worst thing to draw here. Okay, so there's no villain to attack us, so we do have to trigger this ambush. So let's see who we get. That'll be Craven. And ambush in expert mode puts 2 threat on the main scheme. Then we proceed with this attack. So I'm going to defend here with a preemptive strike at the ready to stop us from discarding something. So 2 plus a boost. The boost is 2, so I am going to use that preemptive strike. I think paying web binding. Yeah, I don't even have a mental to use for web binding. So we'll cancel that, deal two to the villain, which right now there's only one, but we could choose if there was more than one. We ready ourselves from playing an interrupt. We draw a card from our web bracelet. Now we still have our response window after using a basic power, so I definitely would like to phantom flip here. If I phantom flip from under George, I could still play Ghost Kick plus Web. So we'll pay 2 for this phantom flip, thwart 5 from the main scheme. And then do I want to Ghost Kick right away? I don't think there's a reason to do that. Save it to trigger Ghost Spider's ability in the player phase. And another attachment. The plus attack one again. So there we see the power of change of fortune at work there. Already replaced itself on value, and so anything else we get the rest of the game is just going to be gravy on top of that. Definitely at the point now where we need a really, really strong reason to have to flip into alter ego. And because our obligation went away already, that's kind of the only reason we might have. So, okay, definitely gonna just thwart for 1 with Billy. And okay, here we go again. Same as before, we've got an opportunity to keep Craven on 1 health, so a defense from Billy can kill him. This does not count as us killing a villain in the villain phase. So, might think about that another second. Well, we'll play Web of Life and Destiny for sure. I mean, it's still so good just to completely block the attack there, spending 0 resources. So let's put 2 damage into life-size decoy. Respond with a Ghost Kick, dealing 6 to Craven, which readies us. And let's just put 2 more damage into the decoy. We should hit our ticket soon. Oh, well, there we go. Once we get close to the end of the deck, we do want to look for an opportunity to play that. It's basically free to play, right? It takes up most of our hand, but then we get a new hand, and it essentially saves us 1 encounter card from the top of the deck. So Preemptive Strike and Counterpunch are our potential villain phase things to do. I am going, okay. I'm going to cut the video here real quick. I need to double check whether or not 0 attack minions attack in the villain phase. Be right back. Okay, they definitely do still attack. So we have a great opportunity here to counterpunch, and that does give us a kill of an enemy during the villain phase. So we'll start with 1 threat on the main scheme. Craven attacks, Spider UK defends, and as an interrupt, deals the last 2 damage. Well, only 1 damage, but 2 Web Warriors, 2 damage to Craven. Then the life-size decoy attacks. which I just ignored previously because it's 0 damage and so it doesn't change anything, but there is an attack happening there. So we will defend and then counterpunch. So dealing 2 damage, which will defeat it. Oh, and when Craven died, we get to remove 7 threat from a side scheme. Oh, I forgot to do that with someone else, didn't I? Should I have... I want to get that right because it's actually it can be to our advantage to have more threat on light at the end. So did I forget to do that? Right, we interrupted, or we powerful punched Scorpion. We interrupted somebody else, and that's the second minion, or second villain we've killed by interrupting. Right, I think I should have removed another 7 from here. Because there was a time when we just had 1. When we just had Scorpion left, we powerful punched. That was another case of having 0 villains in play. I think that should remove 7 here. All right, obviously I won't probably end up posting this if that was incorrect, and I'll probably put some white text somewhere in the past that said that I missed that. But we'll go with that for now. Right, it's not necessarily to our advantage that I even did that because it gets us to that hazard icon sooner when we might not be prepared for it. But anyways, we killed an enemy in the villain phase, so let's draw 2 cards. And we triggered a response, so we'll draw 1 more card. And then look at our 2 encounter cards. Okay, a side scheme. Threat cannot be removed from other side schemes. And then assault, with no enemy in play, we will trigger light at the end. Oh, and we should have readied ourselves from the counterpunch. 1 card left in deck, so I'm actually probably not gonna trigger this other web bracelet even if I use a defense here. So let's see who we get. Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't remember if I put 2 threat on here when I summoned the last one. I'm all over the place today, sorry. But I wouldn't have thwarted it with anything else yet. Nothing else told us to resolve the ambush ability. I think there should be 2 more on here. And then it's gonna get 2 more from resolving it right now. Man, Craven just can't stay away. So Craven is attacking. Still really don't want to get hit by this. So I'll defend. We've got preemptive strike at the ready. So attacks for 2 plus 1. Okay, nice. So we don't have to cancel that to take 0 damage. Might sneak a counterpunch in here, see what the turn looks like. I do really think this is going to be a good ticket to the multiverse turn. So in that case, that'll cost 3. I'll want to put 1 card under George. Yeah, I'll just counterpunch that. Not trigger the web bracelet because I don't want to run out my deck. And then come to our turn. I think I'll put this powerful punch underneath George. well, I mean, how good of a turn is it if I don't play the ticket? I could play Silk plus Noir. No, I'll play. It's still just kind of free value. Okay, get the punch under George. Pay 3 for Ticket to the Multiverse. And activate it. So discard our hand, remove this from the game. Shuffle back in here and ready every Ghost Spider card. All right, it's even on cards, plus we get an extra Ghost Spider use, potentially an extra George Stacy use. Just a solid play. Little trick you can do with Ticket to the Multiverse if you want to play Assess the Situation. This is the card that increases your hand size by 1 until the end of the phase or the end of the round. So that sort of doubles up if you use Ticket to the Multiverse because you draw up to your hand size. So we'll get back up to 5. All right, well, Ghost Kick, fantastic card to put under George and have ready for Craven. Let's attack Craven for 2. And I haven't readied myself in the player phase. So I'll play one of these responses. I guess Phantom Flip. Thwart for 5 here. So ready and draw. And there's an argument now that I just Ghost Kick here, because otherwise I have nothing else to do. It would be so nice if I could play Spider-Man here, but just not meeting the resource requirement. There will be more ways to kill enemies during the villain phase, so I think I will, still in my response window from activating, we'll Ghost Kick Craven. So that will finish off Craven. We'll remove 7 threat from a side scheme. This is our only choice. It says victory, so it'll be removed from the game. Let's draw 1 card, no reason not to. Jocasta's an interesting one. I think we'll keep her in hand, as opposed to discarding her at end of turn. Give ourselves some Shadow of the Past insurance there with Pirouette and Punch underneath George. I guess Thwart for 1, because nothing else to do. Yeah, we'll keep Jocasta in hand. All right, so 1 on the main scheme. We'll trigger Ambush. Now we get Vulture, the lowest health villain. Puts 2 threat on light at the end. And here we could just do a regular old block with Spider UK. And if we had a 3rd Web Warrior out, we could Powerful Punch, and the block would just kill Vulture straight up. But nonetheless, we'll just defend. Interrupt dealing 2, but then the attack for the first time still actually comes through. Extra ability, place 1 threat on each scheme. In expert mode, 1 additional threat on the main scheme. So 2 more threat on the main scheme, 1 at light at the end. And then Spider UK takes the hit. Web of Life and Destiny finally triggers and lets us draw a card. All right, it's going to be an extra attack from Vulture. And it gets plus X attack equal to the total attack of all other villains. So here, this is a perfect time for Defiance. Lets us kind of use our free ready. We'll trigger the web bracelet. So we'll cast Defiance. So here's our boost card. We'll just discard that. Go Spider readies. Draw off of web bracelet. And second card is our Shadow of the Past. So let us not deal with that. Pay 2 for Pirouette and Punch, canceling its when revealed abilities, deal damage equal to the villain equal to 1 more than its boost icons. So 3 more damage into Vulture. Well, this game is going very differently from some of my practice games where I've had 5 or even all 6 villains in play at once. Much more in control. Web bracelet to draw a card there. So we're set up well again for Powerful Punch to take out our villain as it attacks. Otherwise, we got some good stuff to do here. We could get Unflappable out. We actually don't even have a single event in hand to put under George, which is kind of interesting. Unflappable plus a 3 cost leaves us 1 resource left over. Spider-Man would draw a card from readying a web bracelet. Spider-Man auto, that is. Getting another Defiance under Jocasta would be pretty nice. Or just another Powerful Punch. Basically, we're looking to, I mean, we're pretty much all the way set up. So we just want to be able to get through the other side of light at the end in as few turns as possible. Really start working towards that. So I'm thinking Jocasta plus Silk. That'll be efficient. Nice bit of value from both of those plays. Is Silk even better than Auto? Yeah, probably by a little bit. If we drew, never mind, okay. All right, we'll play Silk. So we'll discard a Treachery from here. So we already saw, oh no, there's Underfire. So probably just Underfire here. I'm usually pretty scared of these from every directions, but not this game. There hasn't been that many enemies in play. So let's just get Underfire out of the way. For a few turns at least. And you know what, I could just attack. Could just attack and kill Vulture now. But no, it's too good to use the Powerful Punch. And then Jocasta will pay 3. I actually think the Defiance is a good one here. One more powerful punch and 2 ghost kicks still left in the deck, so not really short on ways to kill enemies in the villain phase. And then let's do some thwarting. Cast a thwart for 2 on the main scheme. These 2 on the main scheme as well. So that brings it to 0. Okay, we could also kill Vulture with a counterpunch here, or a preemptive strike. So I could defend, see what the boost card is. I'll start with 1 on the main scheme. You know what, I'll just use the Defiance from under Jocasta. Although it is kind of nice to play something from hand. We don't have a ton going on here, but we will draw 4 more cards. Could just cash in Silk for a card here. No, that's probably the worst of all the ideas. We'll defend. We'll use the Defiance from under Jocasta. So this boost gets discarded. We ready, draw, counterpunch, so 2 damage, which kills Vulture, remove 7 threat from a side scheme, draw 3 more, okay, Noir is something to play, which is good to see. And 2 encounter cards. So gang up, we'll have to trigger our ambush. Here comes Electro. 2 threat on light at the end. And Electro's gonna attack. It's honestly not the craziest thing to just take this attack. We've got so much health. It is gonna run out the deck. Maybe not immediately. I think we'll just block with Silk. We get an extra card draw out of it from the web. Deal 1 indirect damage to each player in extra mode. Deal 1 additional indirect damage to the first player. That's fine. We'll just take 2 damage. Silk takes the attack. We draw from the web. And attachment, threat cannot be removed from light at the end. Okay. So what can we actually play here? Don't actually have that much to play. So obviously Spider-Man Noir. This is the risk of these heavy defense decks. You do get these heavy defense hands. If we flip to Alter Ego, we could... Well, no, George would be full anyways, so not like we get extra value from that. So we'll pay 3 for Spider-Man Noir. And that's the only active play we're going to make from hand. So what do I want to put underneath George? What do I want to keep in hand? Let's put a, man, it's just always nice to have a Defiance under there. I'm going to put a Preemptive Strike as well, because I'm thinking if we attack, Preemptive Strike and Powerful Punch might kill Electro in one shot there. So yeah, I guess for that reason we'll put Preemptive Strike under there. Am I really afraid of anything enough to keep Pirouette and Punch in hand? I guess I could also just Powerful Punch twice. Might keep a Defiance in hand. Nice if we get another surprise attack. I don't really know what I'm scared of for Pirouette and Punch. So I'm going to ditch these 3 cards. Just keep 1 Defiance. Oh, sorry, and attack for 2. End of turn, discard those cards. Okay, 1 on the main scheme. We do just have Ghost Kick here now, so I think I'll just Ghost Kick Electro. So I'm going to defend here. Do I use Defiance? 4 cards left in deck, so really not that bad if we go through it. I'm going to have 2 responses to play this turn, pretty much guaranteed. I'm just going to defend, not play Defiance. So Electro comes in for 1 plus 2. In Expert Mode, this card gets plus 2 boost icons. So this actually has 4 boost icons. So Preemptive Strike would deal quite a bit of damage. I'm also still only just taking 2 and milling a couple cards. So I will just take 2, 5 minus 3. We'll mill the rest of the deck, which gives us an encounter card for resetting the deck. I guess it's a little unfortunate. Maybe I could have... No, I don't know if I could have worked it out. Basically, we'll flip light at the end here, and then the hazard icon will be available right away. It would be ideal if we could kill Electro during the revealing, when we're already revealing encounter cards, but I don't know if we'll get the opportunity to do that. Okay, so we've just defended. We took 2. We'll pay these 2 for Ghost Kick. Yep, okay. So here's Ghost Kick, 6 damage on Electro. Remove 7 threat from light at the end, which will flip it into the chase side. 15 threat, cannot win unless we escape, and then when we remove the last threat, we win the game. But it does make our life more difficult with this hazard icon. So we're ready for doing a response and draw 3 cards. So I guess Noir won't mind seeing so many encounter cards here. But we're going to get dealt 3 more, 2 for our heroic game mode and plus 1 for that hazard, for a total of 4. All right. 1 threat on the main scheme for each enemy in play, which is 0. So that's going to surge. And let's put it under Noir. We're not guaranteed to get more. Does this still count as resolving a treachery? I think so. I didn't cancel it. Yeah, I still did the when revealed. It just put 0 threat on. And that surges. So there's no villain to do this for, so we have to resolve ambush. And get Hobgoblin. Threat cannot be removed from light at the end. And resolving ambush gets 2 more threat on light at the end. Okay, advance. Yep, I don't have a cancellation effect, so Hobgoblin schemes for 1, 2, 3. Life-size decoy is going to slow us down, thwarting there. And then an attack from Hobgoblin. Let's have Jocasta go in front of this one. Do we have? Could be another case where we can just kill Hobgoblin. It would need to use our Ghost Kick now. We'll just defend with Jocasta. The attack comes in for 1, 2. And there we go. Only took 1 turn to get Spider-Man Noir up to 3/3. So definitely got to kill this life-size decoy. But we can't do any additional thwarting if this is still in play. Basically, we need to kill both of them. So let's kill Hobgoblin. Well, no, we should set it up to kill Hobgoblin in the villain phase, as usual. So let's attack the tough off of life-size decoy. Ghost Kick. Yeah, just Ghost Kick. Hobgoblin. Oh yeah, no, this works perfectly. Which readies Ghost Spider. We'll draw a card. Ooh, we could even kill one of them with Spider UK now. So we'll put 5 more damage into the life-size decoy. So it could go Professor X for some more thwarting. We do have 3 Web Warriors, but Spider UK again does not count as us, does not count as you defeating an enemy in the villain phase if his interrupt kills the enemy. Well, I guess we can't thwart it anyways, though, because this is still in play. So I guess we will play Spider UK. And let's thwart 1 from the main scheme, because why not? Okay, super defense heavy hand. But we will be drawing more cards once again. So 1 on the main scheme. So do I actually still just defend with Spider UK because of how good the value is? Even though I don't draw 2 from here. But if I don't draw 2 from there, I might not be doing much this turn. So we'll go for the powerful punch when Hobgoblin initiates the attack. So that'll defeat Hobgoblin. Remove 7 threat from here. Draw 3 cards. Okay, Phantom Flip, that might let us win the game this turn. So see what we get from the encounter deck. 3 cards. This has Insight and puts Doc Ock and Scorpion into play. Feels like one of them should have the active counter, even though this doesn't specifically put it into one. I'm going to assume it goes on the lower one. Okay, so this is going to put 2 threat on the main scheme, up to 8, which does advance it. Might have gotten a little precarious there with the main scheme. This is going to put another villain in play. Hobgoblin is back and gets the active counter. And then this is unfortunately very close to completing already, only has a threshold of 7. But it comes in with 3, and then this surges. Puts Hobgoblin and Vulture into play. So we'll get Vulture, but Hobgoblin is already in play, and will have us take 2 indirect damage. Totally fine. And last card. Are we going to end the game with all of them in play? That's actually insane. So Insight 1 and puts Electro and Craven into play. Wow, this is crazy. So we're going to have the most flavorful game possible. We've just escaped in the nick of time with all 6 villains right on our heels. So thwart for 1, off light at the end. We will Phantom Flip to thwart it for 5 more, which readies us. Draw a card, why not? And then thwart it for 4 more. All right, with some room to spare in case I had miscounted at some point in the game. Well, there we go. Change of Fortune, really an exceptional card. I think it's definitely scenario dependent. Obviously, this might be the best scenario in the entire game for it. Otherwise, look to use it in really minion-heavy scenarios. We avoided some of the Boogeyman cards, our Under Fire, Shadow of the Past. Like I said in some of my practice games, you can easily get a bunch of enemies out, and then you start chaining those from every directions, and all of a sudden, you've just schemed out from almost nothing. But yeah, once we got the web bracelets and our Change of Fortune out, we were just rolling in cards and had many ways at our disposal to defeat these enemies during the villain phase, as we planned, and that just kind of worked to perfection, and didn't really get too many speed bumps there except for the very end. Although, what was the last card? Master Plan. Okay, so yeah, we weren't at immediate risk of being schemed out. We had seen those advances in from every directions already, but still ended up being a little closer at the end than I thought we would need to be. So thanks a lot for watching. Our next video, if you've been watching my series, you might predict will be against Venom Goblin on heroic difficulty. A matchup I have done before, but this was when Go for Champions had not been issued an errata yet. So I kind of abused that combo with Miss Marvel to beat that scenario. So we'll see if in 2024, Rules Reference 1.6, we can still defeat Venom Goblin on heroic difficulty, and we'll have a Nova deck to do that with. So stay tuned for that, and thanks for watching.